Yourself?
My name is Shalene Onyango. I'm the Executive Director at Longmont Community Justice Partnership. I have been here with the organization for about 2.5 years. I came into this work because I have a long career in working with victims. I think that's a misconception about restorative justice, is that it's offender, or we call them responsible people, and that the responsible people, it's a responsible people centric program. Restorative justice is actually community centric and is about not only creating repair within the person and how they see themselves for this crime that they have been involved in and committed, but also in creating repair with the community, and most importantly, giving the victim a voice in this process, an opportunity to be heard, to share what the impacts for them were, and to create repair with the victim, or we call them the harmed party or the harmed person. So it is, for me, not so much about the designation of, who committed this crime and who is responsible, even though accountability and responsibility is the foundation. It's really more about creating that repair and really leaning into community values, making sure that we're not treating people as disposable. Actually, the city of Longmont is moving toward adopting the model of restorative justice, or the broader umbrella of diversion, that Longmont Community Justice Partnership has been doing since our inception. And so we call that pre-file. So Longmont is actually committing to not ticketing any youth in the city for any municipal and low-level felony crimes. And we have heard officers say in the past that actually people are ticketed and youth are ticketed because they understood that was the way to get them services. So now we are getting them the supportive services that they might need, which includes mental health support, education support, family counseling, individual counseling, substance abuse support, and restorative justice along with those things, but without any charges actually being filed on these youth. So that is a significant, or a distinction between how the district attorney operates, and they also have an incredible restorative justice program that's very much aligned with LCJP, but all of their restorative justice happens after charges have been filed. And so for us, it's about, as I was saying, just like repairing that identity. And so if you have someone who is charged, they immediately start to see themselves as a criminal, and especially youth. And so not having those charges kind of hanging out in front of them really helps them get rooted in their actual identity and back to the strengths-based practice that we use. Part of that is helping them really get in touch with their own identity outside of this one really poor decision that they made. Whether it's an individual process or a group process, at the end of that, the final step, or the second to the last step, really is repair. And so we all sit together and decide together, what does repair for this particular crime look like? And we put those items into a legally binding contract that the responsible person has to carry out. We make it manageable. Usually we find at the end of the process, they're like, I want to do it all. I will do all 25 of these things, and we have to make it really manageable and achievable for them. And that can look like helping to clean up graffiti around the city. It can look like finding a business that's actually interested in having your artwork displayed on the side of their building. It can look like creating art. We get a lot of youth who are interested in art projects here. We get lots of time where youth are spending time with officers to kind of hear about what happens in the city and the crimes that are taking place, and the impact of their behavior on the community from the law enforcement perspective. So there is a true accountability measure in place for the work that we're doing. It's not just like, oh, kumbaya, we did this like really incredible process, and now we just hope and trust that you are, going to follow through. So making sure that they complete that contract is a very important part, and over 90% of them complete the contract. It is very, very rare. I think it's actually over 95%. It's very rare that they go all the way through that entire restorative justice process and then make the contract and not complete it. And we also have an extremely low recidivism rate. So that's the other sort of data point for showing the success of the program, is that we have an external evaluator who looks at all of our programmatic data and actually has access to databases to see and survey the recidivism for people who have come through our program, and that is less than 3%. So that's a really amazing show of how valuable the work is, and how much restorative justice actually can work, as opposed to 60 to 80% of them, getting back into the criminal legal system. I mean, the correlation between those things is so strong, and the correlation between, systemic racism and violence and all the other ways being, so deeply ingrained in the criminal justice system. And so this is also a way for us to help break down some of those systems that really disproportionately impact people's lives.
Mm-hmm.